Hi everyone, welcome to another video. This one is all about the module lifetime. Hey, if you're new here, my name is Caroline. I'm a UK-based university physics lecturer. If you're a returning subscriber, if you've left me comments, welcome back to our little academic home here on YouTube. For the last few days, I have been looking at my modules that I'm teaching over the next academic year. And I'm involved with 5 modules and I'm the module leader for 4. And that means I've got to look at the module lifetime and if there's anything I need to do to update the module process. It's a little bit complicated, but let me dive in and explain what I'm meaning. As module lead, I'm responsible not only for making sure that taught content is delivered to the students, but also all the logistics and setting up and the preparation required to go alongside that module. And that includes making sure that the module catalogue is up to date. And the catalogue lists everything about the module, so the assessment structure, how the module is taught, do you go to lectures, do you go to lab classes. It talks about the learning outcomes, what are the key points that you want to take away from that particular course, what's the assessment structure, what happens if you need to take assessments in the late summer assessment period, how many contact hours there are. It's basically like a 101, everything to do with the module. And that catalogue is the one that is advertised and shared with our current and prospective students. So it needs to be correct. And at the university, there is rules about when you can make changes to your module. And actually, if you're making changes in year, so within 12-month period of that module being taught or happening, it's very strict, right? So you really can't make any significant change to a module within the year of where that module is being taught. So usually we're looking 1 or 2 years further downstream for any module changes that we want to include. And as the module leader, those changes to a module aren't just up to me. I report to a director of learning and teaching. I also link into the undergraduate year tutors, the master's year tutors, and there's a board usually that gets together with the academics, and we discuss the programs, the module requirements. Our courses are accredited, so we have accreditation rules that we need to stick within as well. So it's not as easy as me just saying, oh, you know what, this year I'm going to change these things in my module. There's actually quite a rigorous process to go through before any module change can happen. So typically at my university, an academic will float the idea that they want to change something. They'll write a short paper saying what they want to change. That will go to a board. We'll all meet as academics together. Usually that is led by the Director of Learning and Teaching. We have a chat about a particular change. Academics might voice if it's going to impact other modules or not impact them. And then usually there's some kind of process at the end where we decide if that change is going to be accepted and allowed through. And then once the permission has been granted to make that change, we then are, in my case, logging onto a university software system to actually log the change we'd like to go through. And then our central teams modify our modules and our catalogue handbooks. And so I thought I'd chat through what you might face if you're going into the catalogue to update your particular module. For that, I have my laptop so I can remember the different categories. So usually you have to start by giving some general module information, a quick couple of lines about the key objective of that particular module. What is it actually looking to deliver in order for the students to have a contribution towards the undergraduate degree programme. Up next, usually then comes assessment patterns. And when you give your information on your module, it has to be both the main assessment pattern, if you like, so what the majority of students might take, but then also you have to make the alternative assessment. So if a student is unable to take your class for whatever reason and can't take the exam at the end, or perhaps they have a first go at the exam and your exam board allows them to have a second attempt if they fail it, they need to have that alternative assessment ready to go. Usually that happens in something called the late summer assessment period, which I have chatted about, so I'll put a link to that video. But it means that you do need to think carefully about that, and I think I talk about it in the video, because if you're doing class-based group work and that is assessed, it can be challenging to reproduce that during a summer period with only 1 or 2 students perhaps, when you haven't got the rest of the class doing the same activity. So check out that video if you're interested in the assessment strategies and the late summer assessment period. Something else that's really important on our module details is any prerequisites. So I teach first year classes, but I also teach third year classes and masters classes. And so for the third years and the masters, they need to make sure that they've done certain modules before they take my one, because I need them to have that information from year 1 and year 2 before they can take the year 3 and the masters modules. And so as module leader, I need to say on my module page which other modules need to be studied in order to be able to access the module that I'm leading. And usually, again, that's not a decision that you would make as the module leader. Usually that is a program level decision that you make with the other academics in your department, and it goes through a various process of board and checking and making sure everyone's happy that these modules are linking together into a nice program of study. Importantly, then you've got your aims of your module, you've got your learning outcomes. Usually we have to assess our module and then typically provide 5, 6, 7 learning outcomes. So these are tangible outputs that we would like the students to acquire whilst undertaking this content. It can be skills-based, it can be technical knowledge-based, but yeah, they are very specific and quite often quantified and need to be clearly articulated in your module form. As I've had a change to one of my modules this year, so my first year module is the one that's changed, and as I said, had a reduction in lectures to allow for an increase in laboratory time. That's meant the content has to change slightly. And so actually we've shifted where some of the content is taught, both within the module, and I've also worked with another colleague, and they've taken some of the material that I was going to teach and put it into their module. So we have space then to be able to put the laboratories into mine. So it's not a singular thing. I'm working with other colleagues in the department to help information and content ebb and flow between modules. But the module content is obviously what the students will look at as well. So when they see the module catalogue, I think the students probably look straight away at assessment patterns, how much time they need to be in the lecture hall, and actually probably what the content of that particular module actually is. And these days we're teaching, I guess, in some more hybrid structural forms. We are doing things called flipped classrooms. We've got some home study combined with in-class lecture study. I mean, all of my classes are taught in person, face-to-face, but I can still ask the students to do things before they come to class so that we can jump into the material at a different stage. Not all of my classes are in lecture theatres. Many of them are, but I'm also in interactive workshop spaces, I'm in laboratories, I'm in computer rooms. So actually within your catalogue, you have to say, your module bit, how you plan to deliver that content and how the students should be expecting to receive that taught content. And then you might also find specific things to your university. So quite often universities will have overarching policies or strategies, and you need to potentially show how your particular module is aligned to those larger goals of the university. So you may have to write some words on that. And so all this stuff comes together and it's a live document. So, if your module is running, then this document needs to exist. It's the one that gets published. So if students want to look up my module, they can. They can look it up before they take the class and choose if they want to take it or not. Some of the classes I teach are compulsory and students get no choice. They have to come to my lecture classes. Other modules I teach on are options, and so students can use this information in the catalogue to decide if they think the option of that module is the right one for them. And it shouldn't be a massively arduous process to actually then request the change to go through at your university if you've already had the approval and discussions within your various boards. So that's it. So there's a lot of behind the scenes work with modules. As academics, we don't just turn up and teach them. As lovely as that would be, there are all these little details that need to happen, and keeping your module catalogue and making sure your module details are up to date is one of the really important ones. But let me know, are you a module leader? Do you have to look after the organisation of your module? Do you get annoyed that you can't change things necessarily too much within a particular year? I'd love to know. Let me know in the comments. As always, I hope things are really good for you. Stay safe, keep looking after yourselves, and I'll see you in a week's time for more academic chat next Monday. Have a good week. Bye.